So in this video I'll explain the problems on Diffie-Hellman key exchange, and then I'll summarize the entire chapter, the key management chapter, and then I'll give a demo of the certification authority. So yeah, we'll start with the question. So this was the question which is in the slides. Suppose the generator here is 7 and the p value is 23. So these are the following steps that are performed in Diffie-Hellman key exchange. If Alice chooses x equal to 3 as her secret, and then she performs R1 equal to 7 power 3 mod 23, which will be equal to 21. And if Bob chooses y equal to 6 as his secret, he performs 7 power 6 mod 23. This is basically g power y mod p. The value is 4. Now Alice sends her number 21, the result of this, the R1 value, to Bob, and Bob sends his number 4, the result of 7 power 6 mod 23, to Alice. Now again Alice calculates the symmetry key K, which is equal to the whatever Bob sends her, power her secret mod 23, which is 4 power 3 mod 23. The value is equal to 18. Again Bob calculates the key as whatever Alice sends him with power his secret mod 23, which is 21 power 6 mod 23. The value is again 18. So basically, yeah, the shared secret key in Diffie-Hellman key exchange will be g power xy mod p, which is 7 power 18 mod 35, which is also equal to 18. So this is basically a simple example of Diffie-Hellman key exchange. In reality, people don't use such small numbers of g and p and x and y. People use very large numbers because it's easier to brute force and find the key with smaller numbers. So people usually use values which are like 512 bits or 1024 bits to increase the security of Diffie-Hellman key exchange. Now we'll just summarize the entire chapter. So in key management chapter we have two concepts. Firstly, symmetric key distribution. So as we discussed, like why we need symmetric keys, why we don't use asymmetric keys, is because symmetric keys is simply more efficient than asymmetric keys. So that's the reason we use symmetric keys. Now there are two concepts called symmetric key distribution and symmetric key agreement. So in symmetric key distribution, there is we use a device called a KDC, key distribution center, which does the task of distributing the keys. So we discussed three protocols here. First is the first approach. So this is a very simple approach, but the problem with this is that it's vulnerable to replay attacks. Now, a solution to that is the Needham-Schroeder protocol. This uses a nonce. Basically, a nonce is a random number. So, using a nonce, we can avoid replay attacks. So, however, Needham-Schroeder protocol is again vulnerable to a man-in-the-middle attack, which has been discussed in class. Now, a solution to this problem was introduced in the Wood-Queries protocol. This protocol again is vulnerable to an attack called a disruptive attack, in which the attacker can make it so that the sender and receiver, Alice and Bob, receives a different key for the same session. This was also discussed in the class. So Again, now the most commonly used protocol is called the Kerberos protocol. So in the Kerberos protocol, there are basically two servers in the KDC, which is called the authentication server and ticket granting server. So this protocol again is discussed in the lecture clearly. Now this is basically the symmetric key distribution till here. The second thing in key management is called the symmetric key agreement. So in symmetric key agreement, we don't need a third device called the KDC. Simply the two devices are sufficient to perform the communications, setting up a session key. So we have two protocols in this, Diffie-Hellman key agreement and station-to-station key agreement. So Diffie-Hellman key agreement is based on the discrete log problem. So yeah, the security of Diffie-Hellman is based on the security of the difficulty of solving the discrete log problem. So as we discussed, like there is a problem with the Diffie-Hellman key exchange, which is it's vulnerable to a man-in-the-middle attack. So this is also discussed in the lecture. So to overcome this problem, the station-to-station key agreement method is introduced. In the station-to-station key agreement, basically we have an extra concept called certificate and signatures. So the certificate and signatures is used to overcome the problem of man-in-the-middle attack with Diffie-Hellman key exchange. Now, coming to the concept of certificates, basically a certificate contains the information regarding the public key of the sender. So certificate contains the public key information of the sender. So now in asymmetric key cryptography, we have a concept called public key and a private key. The public key needs to be distributed to everyone in the world, and this is obviously done by using a concept called a trusted center, where the task of the trusted center will be to store all the public keys and send out the public keys whenever requested. So they send out, this is done by a certification authority. A certification authority is basically the trusted center which stores all the public keys of all the devices and sends out certificates of devices which contains the public key whenever required. Now X509 is the format of the certificate which is sent out by the certification authority. And there is a concept called certification renewal and revocation, which is used to keep the certificates fresh and update the certificates whenever required. And certificate revocation also has a format as we've discussed. So usually there are two models for this trusted center. There is a hierarchical model and there is a mesh model, which we've discussed. Uh, in real life, websites usually use this hierarchical model. Now we'll see an example, a demonstration to see how this is used in real life. So for any website, if you click on this lock symbol right before the URL, it will open this menu. You can click on the certificate to view the certificate of this website. So as you can see, this is the certificate of star.google.co.in, basically any subdomain in google.co.in. This is the certificate is issued by GTS Certification Authority 101, and this is the validity period. If you want to see the certificate in more detail, you can go to the details option. Here you can see the version number, serial number, signature algorithm, and everything that is specified in the certificate format. So this is the main information that's required. Public key. Here we are using, Google is using elliptic curve cryptography, a 256-bit elliptic curve. So these are all the additional information. Then thumbprint, I think, is the hash, the signature. So the main part we want to see here is the certification path. Uh, as you can see here, star.google.com, the certificate of this is given by this GTS certification authority. And the certificate of GTS certification authority is given by this Google Trust Services, which is signed by the Global Sign. Global Sign is a certification authority that is trusted by every device in the world. Like there are many other such certification authorities, like VeriSign or some other certification authorities that are trusted by everyone in the world. So you can see the certificates of these also. You can click here and then you can click the view certificate. So this is the certificate of the global certification authority, which is the Global Sign. As you can see, this is issued by and issued to both are same, which is Global Sign. So the certificate of the certification authority, the global ones, are issued to themselves, and this is the validity period. Again, you can see all the required details here. In the path, you can see there is only one node, uh, because the certificate is issued to itself. And then in the second level, we have this GTS certification authority. This is issued to GTS CA 101 and issued by the Global Sign, which is the root, and this is the validity period. So, and again, here you can see the path here. There are only two nodes. So the important thing here is that to notice is that if you see the validity period of the certificate of start.google.co.in, it's from 3/9/2020 to 26/11/2020. Basically, 2 months, right? Only 2 months this certificate is valid for. However, when you see the certificate of GTS-CA, it's valid from 2017 to 2021. It's like 4 years at least. So now, when you go and see the certificate of the Global Sign Authority, it's valid from 2006 to 2021. These are like so many years. So the reason for this is we know that the public key of Google.com, which is a website, it keeps changing. So when Google changes something, it should be updated frequently, right? So that's the reason the website's certificate is valid for a shorter period, whereas this Global Sign is usually a certification authority that is kept constant, and it does not keep changing its public key and other details of the certificate. So that's why you don't need to update this very frequently, the certificate. That's why the validity is very long for certification authorities compared to the certificates of the websites or the devices. So that's it for this demo.